Welcome to lesson 4 of understanding graphs. Now, here we've got again a situation of a mountain climber climbing Mount Everest, and we've got all this information down here, and we've got an unlabeled graph over here. So, looking at a couple of things here, we see that information is given as in meters above sea level. So that is going to help us in labeling our graph. And we notice that down here that we're given our timing information in days. So we're going to have to give the graph a title and label both axes. And I'm actually, and we see that all of the information in the days is all given in the meters above sea level. So that's all the clues in that with the days. And that there's a few things in here that are a little, vague as to how soon they got to. We'll see when we get to the summit and that. But I'm gonna pause while I do all the writing just to shorten the video and that. So and then I'll discuss it when it's done. Alright, so now we've got the graph done, and just a couple of things to note. We've given it a title, A Climber's Journey. This could be anything related to the situation. And our vertical axis is distance above sea level. So one has to note in many of these situations, like even when we were using the TI-84 and the CBR, it'd be the distance from the CBR. So we have to put a bit of a frame of reference in that. So it's just not distance in meters, it's specific and above sea level and that, and then the units. And down on the horizontal axes, we've got day, because all the information is given in days. So if we look at the graph, couple things that we've got to assume, because we're drawing straight lines, we're assuming that they're always climbing at a steady pace, which probably is unrealistic. Got to stop and take some rest, but we've got straight lines between the information we're given on each day when we label it. So we day one, we've got them hiking to the base camp, which is the 5,400 meters. And then moving on to camp 2 at 66, so we got that straight line. And then on day 3, we are staying at that camp, so we've got our horizontal line because we're not changing our position to sea level. And then on day 5, on day 4, we're climbing to 7,200, and then 800 on day 5. Now on day 6, here's where some could differ, because it's like what time during the day did they actually hit the summit, and that. So a quick trip to the summit, and then they're going all the way back down to camp 2 at 6,600 and stay and rest for a day. And then the last bit of information is we've got going back to that base camp at 5,400. So everybody should look generally like this. And that for this one. All right, so I will pause and continue working on the next one at the bottom of the page. One quick note before moving along is I read it too quickly, so just to show what can happen when you do that. The information given at the top says that she starts at her hotel, which is 2,000 meters above sea level. So I should really have my day 0 starting there and not right at sea level, and which would then have put that line going from there, not that other line that I have. So everybody can make mistakes, and just read carefully and see the information that you're given. All right, for the graph in example 2, given this situation of John walking to the hardware store to get headphones and that. Again, there are some things in here that aren't 100% specific, so everybody's graph might be slightly different, but should all have the same shape, but certain bits of information will be the same. So in looking at this, for starters, we should be noting that we're given that he first walks 10 minutes and meets his friend, stops to talk for 5 minutes, then hurries to the store. He then hurried to the store where he talks for 10 minutes, or spent 10 minutes looking for the right color. And then 5 minutes, he then hurried home. And we also see that everything's a distance from home. So I'm going to stop and make the graph. If we add up these times, we can see that we've got 10, 15, 25, 30 for that. There's also just that little bit of he then hurried to the store, and that where it doesn't give us how much time that he took him to hurry to the store. So that's the only bit of information that's not specific, and we don't know how far he was when he met his friend, but we'll discuss that once the graph is all done. Okay, so here's our completed graph. Now, the one thing that we know from the first bit of information given is that our he's starting at home, so our first point is going to be at 0, 0. And then we know the next information is 10 minutes later, but we really don't know how far. But I'm assuming he's getting pretty close to the store, which we know is 700 meters away. So I figured 600 and that, but everybody's point there might differ. But we do know that he stayed for talking to his friend for 5 minutes, so we're going to get our horizontal line there. Now, for the next bit, when he rushes to the store, we should have this line be steeper than this line. Mine looks, because I didn't draw it well, mine should be a little bit steeper if I drew it straight and that, but this line should be steeper than this line because he's rushing. Then we know he's at the store for 10 minutes trying to get the right color. So that period of time is going to be horizontal and 10 because his distance from home is staying the same over that 10-minute period. And then from that point, we know we just got to put another one back on the horizontal axis 5 minutes away and draw that straight line back and that. So, and we do know that he's rushing home in 5 minutes, so that really should be quite a steep line, a decline. And that it might be similar to this one, but I think it would be even quicker, but similar in that. But we've got our labels of our distance from home in meters, given the units and the reference of different distance, and title of getting headphones, and our time and the units for time as well. So that's the end of the first page. Now for the second page, in looking at these 4 situations and trying to match them to the 4 graphs, one of the biggest things that you've got to look at here is noting that the vertical axis is its distance from the classroom. So knowing its distance from the classroom, read that properly in your situations of the person and where they are at the start. Are they in the classroom? If they're in the classroom at the beginning of the scenario that you're given, then you know the graph is going to start at 0, 0, where the 2 axes meet. And that if the information is given that they're somewhere else other than the classroom, then you know, like in graph 1, they're starting somewhere up on the vertical axes. And then also in your story, see if they end back in the classroom that they're talking about, then your last point is going to be on the horizontal axes because they're where they want to be. So there's a few clues into how to read those situations and when you're looking at the graphs and that. So give that a look and pause the video right now, and in your booklet fill in what you think they are, and then resume the video and see what the right answers are. All right, so pause now. All right, so here are the correct answers for the graphs, recognizing the situation and matching it with the graph. So 2, 4, 3, 1, and that's all you really need to cover for your booklet for our in-class assignment, and that other than doing the textbook homework for this. So there you go.